Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I just want to say a big thank you to all my subscribers, my commenters, and to the people that email me. It really makes me happy whenever I get to see those comments and emails and I get to interact with y'all. It just kind of makes my day, especially when I'm home alone. So I just want to say thank you. This video is going to be a survival guide. I'm going to do a series of survival guides within probably this year. And maybe next year, but they're going to be things on how you can survive life, deployment, marriage, and underways, and just basically everything you need to survive that. So today I'm going to do the books that you need to survive and the things that I've needed to survive just life as a person and also life in a military marriage. So here you go. So the first book that I really want to tell y'all about is this book called Jesus Calling. And there's tons of different versions and types, like they look different than this, but they're all basically the same type of thing, and they're devotionals. And they're for Christian people, so if you're a Christian, I really encourage you to get this. And I really love this book because a lot of the times I wake up and I am consumed with social media. So I go on YouTube, I go on Twitter, I go on Facebook, and I go on Instagram and all of the other things that I go on, check my email and all of that. And it kind of overwhelms my brain. I get up and I'm already overwhelmed, I'm already anxious, and I'm already kind of like consumed by the world. But the cool thing about these is they're just short. So if you're not really good at reading the Bible, or you're just not really good at reading at all, these are the books for you. So if I open up to a random day, so January 20th, this is what the book says on January 20th. And it's just a little short thing about, approach this day with awareness to who is boss. As you make plans for the day, remember that it is I who orchestrate the events of your life. And so it just goes on and talks about it, and then it has verses that reference what the book is talking about. And if you're like me and don't really like to read, I love these. And I don't know why I suddenly don't like to read. I know in middle school I loved to go to those like book fairs, and I read all 12 of Lemony Snicket's books, or 13. I read 13 of them, and I just really loved to read. And then whenever I got to high school and college, suddenly I just didn't like to read anymore. And so it's been a real struggle just reading my Bible and reading just books in general. So if you're not a reader, a lot of these books are going to be for you, because I'm not a reader, and so I don't like really super long novel things anymore. And I'm starting to get into it because when I became a wife, a lot of my elders and older women said, you need to read this, you need to read this, you need to read this. And I was like, oh my gosh. But I started reading them, and they were actually really good. So one of the first ones that I recommend is this one. It starts your day out really great, and me and my husband do them together. And it's nice because we can have a discussion over them and say, I really like this, or, I really like that verse. And then it's just, time for us to get up together, and then we'll do them at night sometimes, and we can wind down together. And so these kind of hold my heart in place, so I'm not like starting off the day angry or anxious or whatever. So recommend these. The second book I recommend is a pair of books, and all of these books, first of all, will be linked at the bottom, and you can also find them at your local Barnes & Nobles or maybe Walmart. So the pair of books I'm recommending are these. Oops. Are these, The Power of a Praying Wife and The Power of a Praying Husband. These are fantastic. I recommend these especially for times of deployment and distance relationships, because people need prayer. I strongly support prayer. I love prayer. I think it's the greatest thing you can do for your spouse, just praying for them, because someone once told me, who knows your spouse better than you? No one. No one knows them better. Their mom can know them, but they don't know them like you know them. And it's important to have these because like there's for a wife, so Power of a Praying Wife, it says his affection, his mind, his fears. You know all of those things. You know his fears, his deepest fears that he hasn't told anyone, and you know those. And so it's important to have these because it's really short, like there's a chapter on his fears, and it's like 4 pages, and at the very end it will give you a chapter on, so it'll give you a chapter on his fears, and then it'll give you a prayer to do also. And it's super, super short, and it's really great because if he's underway or he's out on deployment and you're scared for him because he's fearing all of these things, like something could happen to him, and he's afraid. And just pray for the peace of his heart, and it also soothes your heart because you know that God is protecting him. When you pray, you're praying power, and nothing is stronger than prayer. And so I encourage these books. Power of a Praying Wife, the husbands can get these because, while they're on deployment, they can pray for their safety of their wives at home. So it's just a really good pairing of books. And so the ones that I got say they are $16 each, but I'll put a link at the bottom to Amazon so you can search for some cheaper ones. Because I know you can always find some cheaper ones, but these are, again, very great. So I just read the back, and for the woman's, it says, worrying about your marriage changes nothing. Praying about it can change everything. And then on the man's, it says, men, there's no better way to love your wife than to pray for her. So, great books. So the next books I want to talk about are for men only and for women only. And if you've never heard of these books, you are in for a treat. So basically, obviously, for women only, it's for women, and for men only, it's for men. But something that me and my husband did were we swapped books. So I got for men only, and he got for women only. And the point of that was because these books share everything you need to know about a woman and a man. And they're so, so interesting and so funny. So I don't think I can describe how funny it is until you get it and you read it. But so the women's one is all about the men, and the men one is all about women, and they teach you about kind of the brain of each person. And so the men one talks about everything a woman does. And we swapped because it was interesting that I could read the men's and see everything that it says about a woman. And sometimes I would cross out things and write a little note like, I only do this because, or, cross it out because I'm like, I don't think that applies to me. And he did the same thing in this book. And so after we swapped books, it was funny because we both got them back and we were able to read them. And I think these books are so important and so great because you get to know the brain of the other person. And when you're dating, you think you know everything about each other. And it's not until marriage that it's like a wake-up call to, oh my gosh, I'm dating someone I'm married to someone who's completely different than I am. Like, how does their brain work? How does a man's brain work? A friend of mine recently went to a conference, and it showed the brains of both a man and a woman. So the two pictures of the brain were in rest, and the man's brain was in rest, and the woman's brain was in rest. Well, the picture of the woman's brain was active. It was like she's active in rest. But a man's brain was completely asleep. All they said that he was thinking about at that moment was food and sleep, which is amazing to me. And so these books help you understand better who you're married to and what kind of brain they have. Because throughout your marriage, women are going to think, why don't you think that way? Can't you just think like me? And that's not possible. And so to understand their brains, for men to understand women and women to understand men, helps a lot because there won't be any more like, why do you do that? Why do you do that? You'll know. So I really encourage these books to help you in the transition of not being married to married. I think these will help the men a lot more than women because men are sometimes kind of clueless when it comes to who a woman is, but they're so funny, and you can have discussion with them, and you can kind of just make this a bonding experience of getting to know each other all over again. So again, I recommend these books, and I will put the link in the bottom for y'all to look at. I definitely encourage these because they are so, so great. So the last book I want to share with you is one that I have not read yet, but I got it from my mom recently, and I am going to read it, so I will give y'all a review probably in the next couple weeks. Like I said, I am terrible at reading, so hopefully I will get through it all, but it's a really, really great book, and it is the Five Love Languages Military Edition. And I don't know if any of you really know about the 5 love languages, but they are amazing. So I'm pretty sure Gary Chapman came up with them. He's the author of the Five Love Languages, and there's a regular Five Love Language book if you want to get that one too. But for those of you who do not know what love languages are, I will read them off to you. Oh wow, there's this whole list of books about love languages. So there's a Five Love Languages single edition, a devotional, the marriage you've always wanted, love languages for men, stuff like that. So there's just a lot of them. But anyway, so the five love languages are words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, physical touch. And the thing about love languages is this is how you are loved. If you've never been able to explain like how you receive love, this is a great book. Because, so for instance, my love language is quality time. So I love when my husband gives me quality time. That's how I feel loved. His is words of affirmation. So whenever I give him words meaning like saying you're great, saying you're handsome, saying all these things to encourage him, he feels love because his love language is words of affirmation. And so to know what your spouse or your boyfriend and girlfriend's love languages is important, because how else are you going to love them? If we don't know how to love them, how are you loving them? So it's very important to know, because as if their love language is words of affirmation and you're not encouraging them and you're not telling them words of affirmation, they're going to kind of feel like, yes, you love them, they know you love them, and they know you're doing all these things to show them, but the one that's important isn't being shown. And so that's kind of hurting them in a way. And I think words of affirmation is definitely a military thing, because sometimes they're getting talked down to or they don't feel adequate enough. And I think words of affirmation is huge when it comes to building them up. So some of the things that this book says on the back is the unique features of this book include relevant stories of military couples from each branch of service, tips on how to express love when apart, updated FAQ section including questions specific to military families, new chapter on learning to speak the love language through some of the most challenging times of a military marriage. And so out of all these books, I really, really encourage this one, just because this is a military channel and this is a military edition. So I think it would be super great if you guys learned each other's military language or love language and were able to speak those through long distance. And it's important to know because, like I said, I have quality time and physical touch. And if my husband's about to go on deployment or if he's about to go underway, because he knows my love language, he's able to set aside time for quality time or, kiss me more or hug me more before he leaves, because he knows I need that in order to feel that love, especially because he's going to be gone. Also, another thing, you don't have to get this book if you don't want to. There is a website that you can go onto, and I'll put that again in the link, where you can just find out your love language. And it's just a lot of questions that you pick the answer to, and then at the end it tells you what your, I think, top two are, or just kind of the first one. And I think that will really be beneficial. So if you don't get this book, definitely check out that link to figure out what yours is. So again, I just really encourage these books. If you are not a Christian, obviously, don't get the Jesus Calling or the Power of a Praying Wife. I still encourage those, but I know I can't force you to get those. So the ones that I definitely encourage for non-Christians are the Five Love Languages and the For Women Only and For Men Only, because those are so great. Like, I think every person needs one of these. I'm pretty sure it was these books that someone said should be required for premarital counseling because they help you out a lot. There's also another book called Men Are Like Waffles and Women Are Like Spaghetti, and it's just this idea of men have different compartments. Each thought is in one compartment. They don't really cross compartments, but women are like spaghetti, so they have one thought over here, and it goes all the way over here. So we could be talking about a plant, and then she mentions like her best friend at a party. So that would just be another book that I recommend, the waffles and the spaghetti. Obviously, you don't have to get all these books. You don't even have to get any of them, but I just encourage you to get some type of military book or some type of wife book or some type of spiritual book that helps you with your heart and stay calm and not anxious or fearful or anything like that, because I know how much of an impact them leaving is, and just their everyday job is. Just all that fear coming all at once can be really, really difficult, and especially staying in a state by yourself. There's another book that I have that's called Unpacking the Boxes, and it was recommended to me by someone who I go to church with, and so I haven't read that one yet also, but it's supposed to be really good. And so there's just all these books that can help you. And so I just really encourage you, because I always can't be here, obviously, and sometimes you are going to be alone, and sometimes you just need a book to make you feel calm. So anyways, that was my spiel of Survival Guide 101 books for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy the books that I recommended and you're able to get some of them, because again, like, that would be great for you to just be able to calm your heart with something. And so if you ever need to email me, be sure to email me, and I can give you as much advice as I can. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will see y'all next week with another survival guide or just another video.